Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show with local celebrity host Steve-O. Sit back each week while Steve-O educates you with live in-studio experts, such as lawyers, doctors, home improvement, and financial experts in their field. Call in and have your questions answered each week at 888-565-1470. Now, here is Steve-O with today's expert in their field.
Well, it's not Steve-O, it's Renee, and good afternoon. Welcome to Ask the Experts. And today's expert is our plastic surgeon from right here in Boca Raton. It is Dr. Jonathan Berman. Good afternoon, Dr. Berman.
Good afternoon, Renee.
How you doing?
It's much nicer having you here than Steve. You're much more
Thank you.
pleasurable to look
Vibrant.
at.
I'm vibrant.
There you
we were
go.
just discussing how tired we both were. You've been in surgery all day, and it's been a crazy day. But anyway, tell everybody a little bit about your cosmetic surgery, your plastic surgery practice.
Sure. I'm a plastic surgeon. I've been practicing in Boca Raton since 1992. My office is on East Glades Road across from FAU. Go Owls. And we do mostly aesthetic and cosmetic surgery in our office, ranging from tummy tucks, facelifts, rhinoplasty, liposuction.
The full gamut of every cosmetic surgery procedure.
Not everyone, but I do, what people consider what a plastic surgeon does or a cosmetic surgeon does is, I guess, tummy tucks, facelifts, eyelid surgery, nose surgery, rhinoplasty. I said liposuction already?
Breast augmentation,
sure.
which I'm sure is huge.
Breast augmentation, breast lifts, etc. Yeah, as well as the fillers for Juvederm.
Non-surgical procedures as well. So the interesting thing
Thermi, the latest and greatest.
So we had a conversation prior to going on the air, and we were discussing the difference between plastic surgeons versus cosmetic surgeons. And you asked me what I thought a cosmetic surgeon does. So why don't you explain to people a difference? Because I don't think everybody's aware that there is a difference between, I mean, not a major difference, but there is a difference between a plastic surgeon and a cosmetic surgeon.
Well, I guess if you look up Wikipedia and go on Google, you're going to get a different answer than what I'm going to give you. But I think perhaps what plastic surgery is a very large specialty. We do hand reconstruction, we do burn reconstruction, we do automobile people. We take care of patients who get injured from automobile injuries. We do breast reconstruction. We rebuild people after, unfortunately, they've had cancers to put them back together, like for breast cancer. And we do breast cancer reconstruction. We do facial cancer reconstruction. So plastic surgery, I can tell you when we study, I did my ENT training first and then plastic surgery. Plastic surgery's got 7 volumes. ENT had 4 volumes. And of those 4 volumes, one of them was cosmetic or aesthetic head and neck surgery. Well, plastic surgery have 7.
Wow.
So there's a lot that goes on in our specialty. And in our specialty, there are men that specialize in breast cancer reconstructions, abdominal wall reconstructions, hand surgery, etc. Most of my focus is on aesthetic or cosmetic plastic surgery. So when you say what is cosmetic surgery versus plastic surgery, I will say I'm a cosmetic plastic surgeon, whereby...
Right, because you cover the whole realm of everything.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the difference.
Fair enough.
And you also said you have to be certified to be a plastic surgeon. Is that correct?
Well, most of anybody who's going to call themselves in Florida as their board-certified plastic surgeon means that they've done rigorous training of 7 years or 8 years. They've then sat through a rigorous written examination and an oral examination by the American Board of Plastic Surgery and passed their boards, and we always have 10-year renewals to keep our skill set current with continuing medical educations, as well as recertification by boards every 10 years. So,
which is a good thing.
It's a pretty arduous process.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's always new techniques that come out on a yearly basis.
Sure, that's why we go
catch up on.
Yeah, I just came back from our aesthetic plastic surgical meeting in San Diego. I spent 4 days there. Sure. You learn, you try to do the best you can for your patients. And there's, like you said, there's always something newer, and not so better, but something newer. And you want to be
updated procedures or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just did a tummy tuck today. One of the closure devices I use to help, bring the abdomen back together, I just learned about it 4 months ago. So it's very nice. I did my regular closure, but I tried this thing, not experimenting on anybody, but I did my regular closure, but I use this device, and we'll see how well it works. I would never, try something brand spanking new unless I knew something worked. And part of the reason for education, and most board certified plastic surgeons credit themselves a lot on the educational process.
Right.
Because
So
we
what
want
do you
to
think? Let me ask you a question. So what do you think is the most like common procedure? What's the most, the procedure that women come in the most for?
Well, there's still, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons puts statistics out every year for
Right.
what it was.
Especially here in South Florida.
Well, that's true, but across the country, breast augmentation is still the number one
That's what I would
cosmetic surgical procedure that we do.
So what happens if a woman comes in, she's really thin, and she wants like size G, for instance, and you say that, no, I'm being serious.
I'm smiling,
There are
aren't I?
Yeah, there are. I'm not talking about myself, okay? I'm saying if a woman comes in your office and she's saying, I'm a very small cup and I'd like to go really large, but she has a small frame. I mean, do you tell her that, unfortunately, I don't know if that's going to fit your body? I mean, do you give your opinion as far as that's concerned?
Great question. I know that if I'm not going to do this, somebody else might, but that's not my aesthetic.
Right.
What I do is I try to do a procedure that I think will best fit that person and their physique and their body.
And what happens if they say, no, I don't want to do? Would you do that? Would you say, okay, well, I'll make it a little bit bigger? Is there a way that you could do it and then she could come back to have it enhanced a little bit more? Do you start out at a small scale?
I will usually do that surgery for what's appropriate for the patient. But, that's what the process is. The patient tells us what they want. We take a history of what they're interested in. We examine them. Or I do anyway. I examine them, and then I come to a decision what I feel would be appropriate for them. And the way I do that, just typically for a woman who's interested in her breast augmentation, I'll put different size. I measure her. So I have some idea what her chest width is and her breast diameter is. And I'll take implants out and we'll, and just kind of size her with a jogging bra. So she looks in the mirror, she can get some idea what she considers might be big versus what I consider might be big. And we come to some established idea of what we think would be the best fit for her body. It's like a customization.
Right.
It's like going to a tailor to try to do that.
No, I got
but
that.
But the other
So
part of
if
the
she wants
question was if she wants to be much bigger than that.
Exactly.
My answer for that one is, well, I'll give you an example. The average implant that I probably put in a lady is somewhere between 325 cc's and 350 cc's. And 350 cc's.
Which most people don't even understand.
Well,
yeah.
That's what I was going to tell you. So 355 cc's is a Coca-Cola can, 12 ounces.
Okay.
So that gives people some idea
That's a good
what
analogy.
it is. Okay?
Yeah.
So there are women that come in, they think they want, 600 cc implants. Now, if you're talking, like you say, you're all 5 foot tall, you weigh 100 pounds, and you're a zero.
Oh, you must be talking about me. Thank you.
And you're a zero, and
Right.
you want to put something in. Well, I kind of shy them away from that and tell them, I don't think I have the skill set to put you to that now. Okay, I can't do that.
But maybe their body wouldn't even allow that.
Well, I have taken implants out of women who have had surgeries done where the implants that were placed by other plastic surgeons, they were too big and they came out of they were extruded. I had one gal who had a surgery done in Salt Lake City. She was here on vacation, and I saw this skin getting very, very thin over where the implant was, and I told her she probably is going to need this removed, and I recommended that it take removed sooner rather than later. But she decided she wanted to go back to Salt Lake City to the man who did her surgery, and so she did, and I haven't heard from her since. But, I try to do what I think is the best for my patient. Now, I'm pretty sure that plastic surgeon did what he felt was the best for that patient.
Well, maybe that's what she asked for.
That is very true.
Yeah.
And, then it comes down to, what's my aesthetic? Do you like my aesthetic? Okay? And the only way you can really determine if you like my aesthetic is that's one thing nice about having a website. Okay? So
Well,
our
give
website
out your website. Give yourself a plug.
All right. drberman.com, drberman.com. But in reality, there is, look, every plastic surgeon worth their weight, okay, has a plastic surgeon, has their website. And on their on their website, they're going to show before and after pictures.
Of course.
Their dog and pony show.
Right.
And most of the time, if not all the time, are their best results, right? So you're going to see my ladies, or even the men, if I've done surgery, whatever, what
we'll
I
get to that
feel
also. I want to talk
are
about men.
reflective of what I like to do. And they get an aesthetic, and they have a feel of what I do. And if that seems to, and I have a lot of women, that's exactly what they do. They're doing their homework. They've gone to the internet. They look at different websites. They look at pictures of the different doctors they're interested in. They read their credentials, and then take a look and see what their work is. Okay?
Right.
And then they make their decisions that they think it may be a good idea to come to have a consultation with me.
Is it free consultation?
No, I charge for my consultations.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, because I look.
How long are the consultations for? I mean, I know it's your time too.
We usually take about an hour.
Oh wow!
So we take
That's
a long
pretty
time.
extensive.
Well, I think it's a good process because there's education involved. I don't want the patients coming in. I know what I want. This is the size. How much it costs? Goodbye.
Right. No, I get that.
That's not how I want to. That's not the way I've worked for 25 years. And the reality is, I do think there's a value to the time that's being spent because as much as the patient wants to decide whether they like me and they want to trust me to do their work, I want to make sure that person who I'm operating on has realistic expectations of what they're looking for, and I can perform and do these things, and they're healthy, and there's judgment calls by both the patient and by me. And
have you turned a patient away and said,
yes,
oh,
I
good,
have.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
I want to talk about breast implants because, of course, that's the most prevalent thing, especially in South Florida, like we said. Tell people the differences between, because you hear so many things about breast implants, so I know there's different types.
That's a whole hour talk in itself. Okay?
No, because I'm always interested. What's the best implant then?
There's no such thing as anything best.
Okay.
Okay.
So
here's what I tell my patients.
Recommend?
Here's what I tell my patients. If you're coming for a breast augmentation, first class of stuff is: do you want a saline implant or a silicone implant?
And what's the benefit of saline versus silicone?
Benefits of saline. First of all, you can't use silicone implants of anybody under 21.
And why is that?
That's the FDA law. Unless there's some urgent need or there's some breast shape that is what it is. So that's federal law. Now, certainly, if they have some breast diagnosis which is unusual, you can use a silicone implant. Okay? But for the average woman that's coming in who's 19 years old who wants to have a breast augmentation, we're only supposed to be able to put in saline implants. Saline implants are not made out of silicone. So there is an advantage of using an implant that's filled with salt water, okay, that you have a lot of adjustability versus using a silicone implant, which is made of silicone. Now, if you put them both in your hands and you feel them,
which feels more natural?
Typically, the silicone implant feels more natural. It feels more like breast tissue.
Okay.
And now what's happened with silicone, they made silicone, the viscosity or the thickness of the silicone implant that you feel, there's differences. Whereas some are a little bit more firm than others, and some are even more firm than others, and they're shaped implants. And you've probably heard that, you may have heard the term something called a gummy bear implant.
I never heard that.
Okay, in the 1990s, people were concerned that if an implant ruptured, that the silicone would leak and would go all over the body and get all kinds of diseases.
But I never heard reference to that.
So here's what the implant manufacturer says. Okay, so they made the loose silicone a little bit more firm, more gel-like, so it wasn't like water. It wouldn't go as far, it would just kind of stay put.
Okay.
So now they took it another step further, where they make it thicker, so if you took a pair of scissors and cut it, it would stay and it wouldn't move very much. That's really affectionately known as a gummy bear implant. But you can imagine if you're making an implant that firm, it's not going to feel the same as the implants that's soft. But there are certain...
It's not going to feel natural.
It doesn't feel the same. Right. So, but there are certain instances where a lot of surgeons use those implants because they feel the patient is a good candidate to use them. When you're doing reconstruction, for example, some men choose to want to use a thicker implant for something like that, or a less viscous type of implant. Some surgeons, when they do reconstruction surgery for breast surgery, tend to use what they call a tear-shaped implant versus a round or a high-profile implant.
So if I came in and wanted breast augmentation, would you make that recommendation, or would I tell you maybe I want saline? I mean, do I make that determination, or you as the surgeon would do that?
We do it together because this is your body.
Right.
So so typically when a lady comes in who wants surgery like this, she says she wants a breast augmentation. Okay, fine. So I start off, they usually have a pretty good idea of what's out there, but I say, listen, so here's the difference. Here's a saline implant. There's some advantage of saline. Here's a silicone. Do you feel them? Okay. Is there any interest in the saline implant? If they say no interest in the saline implant, then we're not going to go over what the pluses and minuses of a saline implant because they already have a preconceived notion they like silicone.
Right, the silicone. Okay.
So now they decided on silicone. So now it's like you go into the Godiva chocolate store now, okay? There's all different kinds of silicone implants. They're round. There's moderate moderate profile, there's moderate plus profile, there's high profile, there's ultra high profile.
That's why it takes an hour, because you have to go over all these
some
things
of
with
that,
them.
well, we do to a certain extent,
Right.
but I tell them it all has to do with body shape and what you're trying to do.
Okay.
And I find in my practice, I end up using either moderate plus or high profile because I think that gives the best shape for what I'm trying to do. There are times, like you brought up before, we have a really petite little girl
Yes.
who wants a lot of projection, and she wants a relatively full breast that perhaps an ultra high profile might be a great concept for her. So you're not putting a very, very big implant in, but you're giving something that projects more in as a narrower base. So it may be great for her. She may like that. But the only way we know that the best I know how to do this is when the woman is in the exam room, we use a jogging bra, and then we put the implant underneath the jogging bra, so they see
At
the
least
difference.
visually she could see
And she
what she's
sees
gonna
what
look
she
like.
looks going to look
Exactly.
like. And then if that's not enough, we tell her, we have a T-shirt, a black T-shirt, form-fitting, put it on. It says, do you like the way this looks?
Right.
Because you're going to be wearing this, right?
You're going to
I'm
be
the-
living with this.
Right.
Yes.
You're going to be having this unless you have an issue, right?
Right,
Later on, or you
exactly.
choose that you want to do that. So we try to, that's the way I do it.
No, that's a good
It
idea.
takes time. Maybe that's why it takes an hour, but I do that. We also discuss where the incisions can be made. Is the implant going to be placed above the muscle or below the muscle? All of this takes time. A lot of the women have a pretty good idea because if you have, I'm going to give you an example. A 27-year-old woman who walks in our office to want a breast augmentation, odds are pretty good that she has friends that's had this
and
operation.
she's looked into this.
And she's asked questions.
Right.
She's come in that her friends say that she needs this size.
Yeah.
Okay. And she needs this company's implant. So, I think that's everywhere. I mean, my friends who practice in California tell me the same thing. My friends in New York tell me the same thing. There's something very good about the internet with information,
Oh,
which is
absolutely,
terrific.
yeah.
But, sometimes just everything you're going to read on the internet, depending what you read, isn't always true.
Right. And that may not be a good fit for her.
For sure. So
So-
that's why the consults take as long as they do. I spend time with the patient, and I think I've got a pretty good track record. Okay, so we try to do what we feel is really good for the patients. We want them to be happy with what we've
absolutely,
done.
yeah.
And that's the way we try to work the show.
And that's why you're doing this for so long.
That's the game.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go to a quick commercial break and we're going to come back. I have some questions that were submitted from listeners. So
Okay.
we're going to get to those when we get back.
Okay, terrific.
The Ask the Expert show has chosen one of Palm Beach County's top board-certified plastic surgeons, Dr. Jonathan Berman, for the Plastic Surgery Show, which airs the last Thursday of each month from 5 to 6 p.m. Dr. Berman is a Boca Raton plastic surgeon who has been certified by both the American Board of Plastic Surgeons and the American Board of Otolaryngology Head and Neck Surgery. Dr. Berman has 25 years of practice experience specializing in breast augmentation, rhinoplasty, facelifts, liposuction, and many other types of cosmetic plastic surgery. As soon as you walk into Berman Plastic Surgery and Spa, you are made to feel comfortable, as his staff knows this is a big step for you to achieve your plastic surgery goals. They are attentive to your needs, your questions, your concerns, and giving you the quality time you deserve. Ask about Dr. Berman's specials for Botox, the full line of Juvederm products. Juvederm, Voluma, Volbella, Volure, and Kybella. Also, hydrofacials are half price at $99 by appointment only. Call today to set up your free consultation at 561-717-2346, 561-71-RADIO. See why so many of Dr. Berman's patients recommend Dr. Berman to their friends and relatives. Go to Dr. Berman's website for more information, www.drberman.com.
Our plastic surgery expert, Dr. Jonathan Berman. And we have questions that were submitted from our listeners. So here's the first question. It says, my plastic surgeon is board certified, but my friend said that he's not a real plastic surgeon. Remember, we discussed that before. How do I find out if my doctor really is a plastic surgeon? Is there a way to find out?
In the state of Florida, to say you're a plastic surgeon, you have to be certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery. So one of the best ways to find out, those doctors that are certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery are members of the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, the ASPS. The ASPS has a logo that looks like two circles. if the man is or woman or the person is a plastic surgeon, I'm pretty sure if you go to his website or her
You'll see
website,
that.
you're going to see the circles.
Okay.
Look, you spend 4 years in college, 4 years in medical school, 7 years of training, okay? Then you have to you have to take a written examination after 2 years in private
No, there's a lot
practice.
involved. Yeah.
And then you take oral exam. So let me tell you something. It's delayed gratification and a lot of work. When you get done, you're really proud that you've done all this work because it's not easy. And you've worked hard. And there's something to say that you have a little, you're past your boards. You're a member of a society which will only welcome board-certified plastic surgeons. And as such, you are therefore entitled to use that logo for what
so
it is.
you look for that if you go into their office,
Yeah.
and that should be, whether it's in their office, on their website. But in the day and age of the internet, is there a way to Google that to find out before going to somebody's office?
The other way you can do that, our society called the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, it says find a doctor. You can go in there, see if your doctor.
Okay.
Let's just say John Smith, right?
Right.
You type in John Smith. They want to know your where you think he practices. It will list it. If he's not on that list, odds are he may be another kind of cosmetic surgeon, but he's not a board certified plastic surgeon.
Got it.
So that's another way. When you go to the doctor's office, I'm pretty sure if he's what he says he is, there's a diploma there.
Absolutely.
From where he finished his residency in plastic surgery. Look, he's worked his butt off, or she's worked his butt off. I believe that there's probably going to be a diploma from where he did the training. And there's also a diploma saying that he passed his boards, right? And there's something that says certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery, right? Nothing else says anything different. And the other, thing about plastic surgery, of that group of plastic surgeons, probably between 3,000 to 4,000 of them then try to become members of the American Society for Aesthetic Plastic Surgery, called the ASAPS. And you have to have a caseload that shows that you're doing predominantly aesthetic plastic surgery. And then only then can you then petition to become a member of the American Society for Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. That was the meeting I went to in San Diego, which furthers education on how to do aesthetic procedures. And again, the same thing. There's a little diploma with this little triangle with Nefertiti in it. That means you're a member of the American
And most
Society.
people wouldn't even know that,
Well,
and I got to tell you, I mean, you watch the show. I've watched the show on cable, Botched, and there are people that just go to different plastic surgeons, maybe for a free consultation, and they say, you know what, I'm going to pick that person because it was the least amount of money, which is not the smartest thing to do, because you need to do your due diligence and find out about that plastic surgeon or cosmetic surgeon.
Well,
or listen to the Ask the Expert show and go to your office.
Interesting you brought up the program Botched. I'll tell you what, there were two men that aren't botched, two doctors.
Yeah.
One of them is a really good facial plastic surgeon. Okay, he will tell you he does everything above the neck. Nassif, I think his name is.
Right.
And I forget, the other gentleman that's on the show is a board-certified plastic surgeon. So he does breasts, he does tummies, and he also does everything that Nassif does. So they're very careful on that show that the facial plastics guy, Paul Nassif, will say he's a facial plastic surgeon. He's not saying he's a plastic surgeon. And the other fella is a board-certified plastic surgeon. I'm blocking his name, but they're both very reasonable.
I don't remember his name either.
I mean, it's entertainment
Yeah.
for sure because it's on TV.
But you hear so many things about that, though, about surgeons and, in the newspaper, especially I was hearing something, not for breast augmentation, but for the butt lift. I've read a lot of bad things about these butt lifts. I know it's very popular right now. Do you do those?
I don't do them.
Okay.
I don't do them. Unfortunately, there were 4 deaths in South Miami within the last 9 months.
Oh, wow.
Which is a real big number.
Yeah.
And there's different ways of doing, when a Brazilian butt lift operation is, and it's simple little thing, is you're taking fat from somewhere in your body and you're injecting it into your buttocks, either both sides, right or left side, and the volumes are pretty large. And to make the fat viable, some men will inject it into the muscle, the fat goes into the muscle, and some will also do it in the muscle and the fat. And I am by far not an expert on how to do this because I don't do it.
So is it dangerous?
I'm going to lay off because I don't know enough about the procedure. I know that I don't see, you have to do what you like to do also. My aesthetic, all right, is I like the athletic woman look. I don't like very big busty
Like-
ladies.
Yeah, like Kim Kardashian with the big butt.
I don't like that
Yeah.
big, I don't like that. And in terms of that full body, usually means there's a very large buttocks that goes along with it. Okay. I like tight, athletic butts. Okay. And so I wouldn't want to do that because I wouldn't be one that would be a good judge to see whether this is a pretty, or, I mean, I can tell you this is an aesthetically beautiful, breast. This is an aesthetically beautiful buttocks type of thing. I think I can do that. I feel comfortable saying I'm an expert to do that, but I am not an expert on that Brazilian butt lift procedure because I don't do it. It would be unfair for me to criticize it because I
Right.
haven't looked critically at it. And I know there are some men who are sensational at it. There are two in Miami that I know who are reputable, that, they're some of the best in the world.
Again, you have to be careful who you go to.
It's like everything
Yeah.
else, right? If you're having a divorce, are you going to go to the most inexpensive divorce attorney
Some
to take
people
care of you?
do.
And guess
So-
what? They
yeah.
don't get what they want, is it?
Exactly,
So it's like
exactly.
always like everything else. You always get what you pay for.
I got to ask you a question. So, as a cosmetic surgeon, because I was asking you this before, do women get like self-conscious around you? Like, oh my God, is he looking at my nose? Is he looking at, because I always thought that. Like, I'm sitting in front of a cosmetic surgeon, me, myself, and I'm saying, oh my God, does he see the lines under my eyes?
Some do.
I would think that a lot of women get intimidated by the fact that you're a cosmetic surgeon,
Some do. I see all.
that you're judging.
First of all, I don't judge.
No, I know.
I mean, maybe when I was younger, when I did. Right now, I've been doing. Look, what am I saying? I'm an old man. I'm in practice for 25 years. I think I'm pretty good at what I take care of and do. I usually don't pass judgment. Somebody asks me,
right.
if you're asking me critically to do something.
No, I'm not asking
No,
you
I'm
now.
just sharing with you. If somebody's
Yeah.
asking me, says, "Well, I'll tell you the truth. The best way to really get a good evaluation of this is come to the office, better light, in my office environment. We can go over A through Z about what's going on.
Right, and
But
things
if
that
you
you're
want-
not happy with, that maybe you
Yeah.
want to enhance or change.
Right, but off the cuff,
Yeah.
I usually won't do that because you don't know how receptive they're going to be. As much as they
And
say
they
they
may
want
get
something.
insulted. Yeah.
So I've learned
to keep
that
your mouth shut.
I just don't do that.
Right. No, I agree. Okay, let me just ask you a quick question before we go to another commercial break. This is another question from a listener. It says, it's almost summertime, and I hate the way I look in a bathing suit after having 3 children. What will get me the best looking abdomen? And she references the mommy makeover, which I've heard so much about. So tell people what a mommy makeover is.
Well, mommy maker be for a lot of things, okay?
Right.
So it depends where. Because look, a lot of women my daughter is due in like 10 days. All right.
Oh,
so a
nice. Mazel tov.
Thanks. So my daughter's only gained like 26 pounds in her pregnancy.
Wow.
Which is little.
That's
but,
amazing. Yeah.
all right. But there are other women who gain 50 to 80 pounds. Right.
I gained 100.
There you go. So now
I
the
did.
question is, so they've gained the weight, and then probably a year, 2 years later, they want to do something, and they've tried to lose the weight, or they haven't lose the weight. So when you address a mommy makeover, it also depends what areas you're going to address.
Like the pouch. Like after you have a first kid, typically you go back to normal. Then you have a second kid, and the little pouch begins. And by the third kid, you're done in.
So what you're talking about is, again, when you say use the word pouch,
Yes.
you're talking about what am I going to do for the mommy makeover that my abdomen doesn't look the way I'd like it to look, right?
Exactly.
Well, it also depends what's there. Are there stretch marks? Is there skin laxity? Is there a lot of chubbies? Is there fat? What's the muscle
Was
integrity?
there a C-section?
Thank you. That was an excellent. Was there a C-section? It all depends upon what the patient has and what you want, what they expect to do to fix it. Okay.
Right.
Now, I also have the belief that less is more. Okay. If you take a 29-year-old woman who's had a baby 2-3 years ago, and she's looking in the mirror and she doesn't love the way she looks, she may be, if she doesn't have a huge amount of stretch marks, but she's got some fat that she really doesn't like, maybe liposuction is the way to go to make that better, right?
How much-
Whereas,
yeah,
if you
liposuction. I want
have-
to talk about that.
Whereas another thing is that perhaps the baby, she stretched the skin all the way out. She's
Right.
got all these stretch marks, and her skin is saggy, The other question comes up is she's interested in having any more children? Because if she's not interested in having any more children, she may be a candidate for a tummy tuck because the skin has been stretched. She's got some abdominal wall laxity because the muscles have splayed out. So it all depends upon what the patient has, and for us to try to figure what's the best thing for the patient. And then the next step comes is what happens if they have a little bit of a protuberant abdomen. So they have a little bit of abdominal laxity. They have some fat, but they're very busy. They don't want to afford the downtime from 3 to 5, downtime that would be required from a tummy tuck versus liposuction, okay? So
Right.
maybe the answer is the patient may need liposuction and a tummy tuck.
So
They
let me
do
just
the
ask you
lipo.
something. If you do liposuction, because I hear so many people are doing liposuction nowadays, how much fat, how many inches does that typically take out? And is there a certain weight requirement? Can you be, obviously you can't be like 5'4" and 200 pounds, or can you be? Is there a certain, if you see somebody that's over a certain weight for their height, would you still be able to do liposuction?
A 5'4" person who weighs 200 pounds is probably not a candidate for liposuction. There's something called a BMI.
Right.
And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't remember what the BMI numbers are. I can look at somebody probably and tell you if you're a good candidate for what it's going to be. And there's some magic numbers that people, not magic numbers, some numbers that people will say that if your BMI is above this point, you shouldn't do this, or BMI below this, you're a good candidate. My basic answer to this is when I do liposuction on somebody in my office, the biggest liposuction I'm going to do is going to be a 5-liter liposuction.
Which is
5
what in
liter.
inches? You hear people say 5
It's,
what
okay,
is
but
it?
but here's the thing. That's a great question, but what am I liposuctioning? Because it's not all coming out of the abdomen. Typically, a lady, we have an infection called a girly package. Ladies put their fat on in their abdomen,
And hips.
their flanks,
Yeah.
their hips, the lateral thighs, the medial thighs, and their knees. Men put their fat in their chest, the abdomen, and flanks. So when I just told you 5,000 grams of the most I'll take out, that's for the entire girly experience, okay? Now, let's go back to the abdomen, okay? If we take out 2,500 grams, which is a pretty good amount of fat to take off a woman's abdomen, okay? A liter is 2.2 pounds, all right? So if I'm taking out 2,500 or 2.5 liters,
It's a lot.
so do the math.
Significant, yeah.
Okay, so that's like 4.5, 5 pounds.
Right.
So, even though the answer, then you're taking out stuff from the flanks. So maybe it's another liter out of here. So maybe you're taking 6 pounds away from a person. But let's be totally fair. If you dieted and you lost the weight, you're probably going to lose more than 6 pounds. The best patients for liposuction are those where diet and exercise have truly failed. Liposuction is not a really good operation to do to lose weight. And I kind of discourage people from doing that because
Some people do it like even after they had kids. Like you were just talking about tummy tuck. And sometimes after you have kids, maybe you just have a slight protrusion and maybe that would be the best option for you. What's the downtime with liposuction? Like after the surgical procedure, how long would you be out of work per se?
Okay, depends what kind of work, right? Let's just say they're
Okay.
desk work, okay? If you have desk work, it's very common. I'll do surgery Wednesday, the person go back to work Monday.
Oh my God, that's quick.
Yeah.
Very quick.
But I'm not going to let you go work out on your treadmill. I'm not
Right.
going to let you go do your exercise you used to do.
Cleaning the house, lifting
Yeah,
boxes.
you're not doing that.
You can't do any
You're
of
not
that.
doing that. I'm going to you need to lay low for probably at least 3 weeks. And what I do for people now, it used to be we would have the patient wear the garments. We put these garments on. They're kind
I've
of
seen that,
compressive.
yeah.
They're very good because they're doing a job. They're decreasing the possibility of fluid seepage. They decrease the amount of swelling you can have. You, as the patient, feel more comfortable because it kind of makes everything more snug and tight. And it prevents a lot of problems because it helps the skin retract around the area of liposuction, okay? I was trained when I finished that you would wear these things for 6 weeks, these garments. Now it's anywhere between 3 and 6 weeks. Depends upon the person.
Right.
Depends how much liposuction you're doing. And I tell most everybody that by 17 days, 18 days, look, I see them frequently in the office. And I'm going to pinch here and I'm going to feel the areas where I have liposuction. Now, I'm going to be cute. If you feel how soft your abdomen is right now, you feel how that fat feels, that little soft, little pudgy little thing, right? If I've taken and I've done liposuction, you're not getting all your fat away. You're getting a lot. But if I pinch that little side that I've lipoed and it still feels really firm and indurated, you're not ready yet.
Okay.
So that ready time, it depends. If you're 27 years old, 24 years old, your recuperation is much quicker than a 50-year-old.
Well, of course, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Well, you asked
Absolutely.
me when, right?
Yeah.
I'm not giving you a caveat. I'm
So
trying to dodge the
obviously it
question.
depends on the
But
age of the person as well.
But usually I think that I let people doing half of their workout activity by 3 weeks. And that's usually what I do. I'll see them in 2 weeks. And I say, okay, I'm going to let you go do half of what you normally would do, but wear your garment, and I want to see you a week later. And they'll tell me, how did it feel? Felt pretty good. Did you leak? Did everything work? Yeah, okay, so here. Go do full board, take it off. Let me see you in a week, and we'll reevaluate. If you're doing great, you're fine.
Perfect.
But if you're not, I put it back on. Listen, you know that song, I can name that tune in 4 notes or 3 notes, right? So the whole trick is like everybody wants things as fast as you can do it with as little information as possible. And you're a genius if you can name this song in 2 notes, right? Well, this is your body, okay? So if this is your body, you spend all this money and all this work to get yourself looking really good in your entire life, is 1 extra week of you laying low something that you should be doing so that
Just
it
follow the instructions of the physician.
There
That's
you
the
go.
bottom line.
Yeah.
Let's go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with Dr. Jonathan Berman.
Have you ever wished you could turn back the hands of time, lose those lines and wrinkles, and enjoy the healthy, flawless skin you had during your younger years? Ever wanted to rid yourself from hair under your arms, on your legs, or around your bikini area? For men, the hair on your backs. Well, now you can. At Berman Plastic Surgery and Spa, Dr. Berman can provide you the best non-invasive skincare procedures and rejuvenation products to restore your youthful skin appearance and enhance your self-image. They have an unparalleled FDA-approved technology suite that includes intense pulsed light IPL, laser hair removal, laser scar treatments, laser skin tightening, and laser stretch mark removal. Fractionated CO2 lasers can be added to any treatment plan to give you the skin you've always wanted. Dr. Berman invites you to call and make an appointment for a free skin consultation at 561-717-2346, 561-71-RADIO. See why so many of Dr. Berman's patients recommend Dr. Berman to their friends and relatives. Go to Dr. Berman's website for more information, www.drberman.com.
And we're back here with Dr. Berman, and he has a plastic surgery practice right here in Boca Raton. So I have another question to ask you, because we had questions submitted by our listeners, and I love to ask you these questions. It says, I have the summer off and I want to get plastic surgery. Is it true you can't be in the sun after surgery?
For the most part, yes.
Okay, and why is that? I know why, but tell our listeners why.
I'm curious to hear what your answer is, and I'll tell you if I like it.
Because the scarring.
Well, okay, but what caused? All right, so the answer
That may not
that's true.
fade. The scarring may not fade.
Okay, you're
Is that one of the
100% right.
reasons?
So I'll give you a little bit of
Oh, big
science.
tested here and ask the experts.
No, you're right, but it has to do with the science. The science is you've had damage. You've had surgical trauma to your body. Now your body has to heal the surgical trauma. Okay? Your skin, for example, has melanin pigments in it, right? And the melanin pigment prevents the ultraviolet rays to a certain extent from coming in.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So now your body is going to be hit with all that ultraviolet radiation, and now your melanin pigments have to you have to work overtime to prevent that. So what does your body do? It makes more melanin. So you may have darkening of the area that you had surgery.
Okay.
And so most people don't want to be darker. I mean, they want to tan, but there's a difference between tan.
They don't want the scarring to
and
stick
they don't
out,
want,
yeah.
They don't want to exaggerate a response
Of course
because
not.
it's like a continuation of the trauma. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So that's one thing. The other thing that happens when you go in the sun, do you get hot or get cold?
Well, typically hot.
Right, so you vasodilate.
Okay.
And if you vasodilate, that means you're putting more chemical mediators into the wound, which don't necessarily have to be there. And they're going to find something to do, and they're now worrying about the damage they're getting from the sun. So you want
So how long do you have to wait
you
to
say,
go back
cool.
in the sun?
Well, I have plenty of young women that have breast augmentations in June. They go on their boats in Boca Lake.
Okay, but most of the time, if for breast augmentation, your scarring is like covered, okay?
Well,
Because if
what
it's a
I-
breast. But I'm
okay.
saying if you say have a facelift, for instance.
Well, you wear it's
So you
similar
could put a
answer.
hat. You could put a hat
and
on.
the women want to wear the bikinis. So, if you've done a breast augmentation, odds are you're happy with your body and you want to put a bikini on. It's probably a teeny weeny itsy bitsy bikini, right?
Don't ask me. I don't know.
Okay, but my point is, so you want to put something on that's
Right.
gonna. So I tell them you can go swim and wear a t-shirt.
Show you new enhancement, basically.
That's fine, but
yes.
wear a t-shirt. Wear
Right.
something with ultraviolet, a UV 50, so they can go out and have a good time. That kind of stuff. You can go in the sun, but don't get hot.
Right.
stay in a cool shaded area. And a person who has a facelift, you wear a big hat. I'll have you wear sunblock and keep cool. So you don't want the increase, you don't want the temp, you don't want to get hot. So you want to stay cool.
Okay, so what happens? Let me ask you this question. I mean, obviously it's 93 degrees here, in South Florida. So you're going out, you've had the surgical procedure, but maybe not going to the beach. Maybe just going to the store. I mean, you are out in the sun. I mean, you can't help but get sun here, even if you cover yourself up with sunscreen.
You can only do the best you can.
Okay. No, but does it take longer because of the heat index in South Florida for a healing process?
I haven't seen it. I really haven't seen much of that as a problem.
Okay.
I haven't really seen much of the problem.
All right, next question from a listener. It says, I'm afraid of anesthesia, which a lot of people are, but I want a surgical procedure. What should I do? And it says, I guess it doesn't even say what type of procedure. I mean, does she just want anything? So I guess what she's asking is, what type of procedures may not need general anesthesia, maybe just a local anesthesia? Is it more like a non-surgical procedure?
Anesthesia is something that we will, if you're having a gallbladder removed, you don't want to feel it. You don't want to feel it.
Right.
So what's nice is the surgeon can do what he has to do to take the gallbladder out. And at the same time, the patient can be in a la-la land so they don't feel it. So there's no stress. There's no concern that the surgeon has to worry about how the patient is feeling so he can concentrate on taking the gallbladder out. Okay? So if I'm doing a surgical procedure on a patient, anesthesia is a good thing so they don't have to, so I can concentrate and do what I do the best that I can do.
And not worry that the patient's uncomfortable. You don't want to be uncomfortable.
Right, because the answer to that one is, I like having a board certified. When I do surgery in my office, I only work with board certified anesthesiologists.
So do you do most of the surgical procedures in your office?
Most of unless there's a reason I have to bring a patient, unless the patient, there's certain criteria.
Right.
Healthy people, I'll do surgery in my office. People that I have a little question about their health, I'll talk to my anesthesiologist.
Okay.
And we'll make a decision, but maybe it's a better idea to do something in the hospital. And we'll do it in the hospital.
And they have to get clearance from their general practitioners.
Okay. Nobody goes here without clearance.
Right.
Absolutely correct. And so about anesthesia, I have a different belief about anesthesia because I want to be able to do my best for my patient.
Absolutely.
And I think to do my best for my patient is when I do my surgery that I have another person who is monitoring the patient's general well-being. And what's an absolute fact, there are more anesthetic complications with patients who have had cosmetic surgery when their airways are not established and stable. Meaning that there are a lot of people that are doing facelifts and rhinoplasties and blepharoplasties. And look what happened to Joan Rivers.
I know.
She had no airway.
That's crazy, yeah.
She had no airway. And because she had no airway.
Was she under general anesthesia or not? Do you know? Oh,
she wasn't on general. She was getting like a propofol type of, let me back up. I don't know what kind of anesthesia she had.
Okay.
But I know her airway wasn't secure. An airway secure means you have a tube in to help you breathe. It doesn't mean you have to be, there's endotracheal anesthesia, there's MAC, or these what call LMA, laryngeal mask airway, to protect the airway. And that, I'm sure, is a bias of my ENT training. If you have an airway, you're in good shape. You can do almost anything you want to help take care of the patient. And you also have another way to administer drugs.
Right.
You can always put drugs down the endotracheal tube. And if you look at how many surgeries are being done around the United States today, okay, and you look at the anesthetic complications for their surgery, it's super low.
It is.
It's not like in the 1960s where, they didn't have the monitoring that we have now. They don't have the drugs that we have now. And although these men who were doing anesthesia were super capable men, you have the same super capable men now doing the stuff in 2017, but they got 9 or 10 different monitors to watch a patient. They've got drugs which are much better than they were back then, and you can take better care of your patient today than you could.
Plus, also, you want them to be comfortable, and you don't want them to get nervous and move because you're working to make them look better.
Right.
So you don't want somebody, when somebody's nervous, that's going to affect you also as a surgeon.
Absolutely, and the truth be told, you can do your surgery and have a patient go to sleep and they can wake up relatively comfortable. And I totally understand people don't want anesthesia because they're worried about the post-op, nausea and vomiting, all this stuff. A lot of that has to do with the quality of the anesthesiologist that's doing the anesthesia for you. Certainly there's things that your body may respond differently than my body for something else. But for the most part, I still believe that if you want me to do your best for you and I'm not too concerned that you're going to move or this is going to hurt.
Right, right.
I would prefer to have a man or a woman, a board-certified anesthesiologist, monitoring, taking care of you so I can do my best work.
No, I agree.
The other answer, which is real too, is the fact that, there are big companies out there that make lasers, and they are not, and a lot of people want to do the things I do that I've been trained to do, but they want to say, this comes back to the original question that you said about a cosmetic surgeon versus a board-certified plastic surgeon, okay? What
And you were telling me earlier that dermatologists are cosmetic surgeons. Some dermatologists.
That's a whole nother story, another time, and let's not
delve into
I'm not
that.
talking about dermatologists, but the point is, I will just use wannabes. That's a very, very safe. I'm not saying any specialty whatsoever, just the wannabes. But the wannabes who don't have the training that I have, they don't have the ability to put an operating room in their office like I do, and as such, they have to be able to sell to John Q. Public that they can do the surgery as safely without general anesthesia and get the same results that I can do. Okay? Now, if you recall, there was a company called Lifestyle Lifts.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, they're gone. Why do you think they're gone? They're gone for a lot of reasons, but they made a lot of promises that they can do a facelift in 30 minutes per side without general anesthesia, under just local.
If it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Thank you. So the answer is a lot of what we come down to, almost everything, is something that we learned when we were very young called caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware. So as the buyer, the consumer of products, I tell my patients, I tell the public here, do your homework. Look and see who you think, whatever operation you choose to what you want to do your homework. Read a little bit about the credentials of the people that you're asking to take care of them. Is this guy really capable of doing the things that I want? Does he have the training? Does he have the experience? And how do you know? I've already shared with you that a lot of the stuff that you're wanting to do, I do think that the best in the business doing this stuff are board-certified plastic surgeons.
I agree.
That's my bias.
Yeah.
So therefore...
No, but I agree with you. Absolutely.
So therefore, if we're the best, I made an assumption, you may not agree with it, but if you assume that to be the truth, and after all, this is Ask Your Experts. So my answer to that one is...
And there's a reason you're on the show, because you are the expert in plastic surgery.
So the answer for that one is, go look at the guy's or gal's, the person's website. Do they have that little circle that says they're certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery?
See, I learned something new from you. I didn't even know that.
So the reality for is, look, even not everybody who's a board-certified plastic surgeon is a good plastic surgeon either. Okay? But at least you know that that person has finished the training,
right?
Got the certifications to do what it is. Now you have to do some homework. You talk to your friends who had certain things done. You go read, you talk to your doctors in the community. I'd be very careful in reading reviews on the internet because, if you make somebody happy, it's very rare that they're going to put something up there. But if somebody's just a little bit unhappy, man, they're going to tell the world.
Of course. That goes across the board with everything.
Right? You go out for dinner.
Yes.
If you have not a great meal, you're going to tell everybody how the place stunk. And how many times do you rave about, oh, what an amazing meal I had at so-and-so? So, this is not Jonathan Berman telling you this stuff. This is relatively common information where a lot of people have done this statistic, right? If you've done one thing bad, if you had a bad meal, you can tell 9 people how terrible the restaurant was. But if you had a good meal, you may tell 3.
Right.
Well, it's like everything else. And we're flooded. And it goes with everything we see on a day-to-day basis now with the news, right? Trump is a very controversial figure, whether you like him or not. You put on CNN, you can have one spin. You put on MSNBC, you have another spin.
Fox, another
one.
You
put Fox, another. And now, truly,
that's for sure.
The educated person has to be able to sift through this information
and make their own determination.
Right, and that's what an education is supposed to be able to help you do that. Doesn't mean CNN's right. Doesn't mean MSNBC is wrong. The answer is you hear the stories on both ends, and there's a bias. You got to be able to take the bias and make an intelligent decision. So getting back to your question about where to go, the homework is very important. And there are certain criteria that I recommend. I've already said, look at the guy's training, look at the guy's credentials, see if they're a member of this society. Look at his before and after pictures. Ask in the community for people that have used them or who they would go to. And if you're interested, then call and make an appointment. You may like them, you may not like them. And
So are there typical questions that you should ask going in, aside from that and looking at all that, the credentials, are there certain questions going in, you give an hour consultation. Are there specific questions that you should ask? Say they're coming into your office.
Well, that's
what
kind of-
questions should they ask?
That's another hour thing, but I can tell you if you go to my website, there's a section on my website about Dr. Berman, and it says questions you should ask. And most quality guys are going to say, these are the kind of questions that you probably should want to ask. Not because I fit the bill for those guys, but these are reasonable questions, like how long you've been in practice.
Right.
What do you like doing?
Well, give your website out so people understand.
Sure. It's
and your phone number to contact you.
drberman.com. That's my website. If you have any questions, you can send an email to me at drb@drberman.com. Phone number is 561-71-radio. Is that right?
Yes, 71 Radio.
Okay.
You got it. Actually, that's easy to remember. You don't
Yeah,
even
it's
have to
pretty
pull
good.
over on the road to hear that.
So, I think like if you were doing shopping for a car, how much research would you do about your car? You're going to go buy the first car you walk into? Maybe a great salesman.
Don't ask me that question.
But
Because
most people
I
are
don't
going to
a lot
do
of
that,
research.
right?
No, most people do. Yes.
If you're going
most
for a
people
house,
do.
you buy the first house you go to? No,
No.
you do a lot of homework. Well, this is your body, and as your body, this is your temple. Maybe you should do a little homework about your temple to find out what's the best for your temple.
No, I agree because obviously you're doing surgery. It's your body, it's your face, it's your body, and you want to make sure that you've picked the surgeon that's going to do the best job for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And don't let price be the thing because
No,
you always
don't
get
let
what you
price be
pay
the thing.
for. Because you're always going to find a low bid cheapie. So I don't know about you, but if you hire a contractor to come to your home to do something, and you've got 4 bids, and one guy's bid is like half the price of somebody else, are you really going to think about using that guy? And if you get one guy whose price is half,
They always say get 3
Well,
and take the one in the middle.
well, that's a
the
very
way-
reasonable
yeah,
way to do
yeah.
it. But if a guy is like, choose a number, if he's $1,000 for something, and the 3 other people you did are $2,000, doesn't it make you wonder why he's $1,000? Or maybe you say, why are these $2,000
Well, I know you
not
see ads. Let me
$1,000?
just say something to you because you see ads. I know you do non-surgical procedures as well. Botox and fillers and everything
Right.
else. But you see ads all the time in the papers. Like as a woman, you see these things, and you know that if somebody's doing Botox, for instance, and I don't know how much a vial of Botox is, but if somebody's selling it for $100 for one, for a vial of Botox, and somebody else selling it for $600, $700, I'm just putting numbers out there. I'm saying you have to wonder why they could do it for $100.
Well,
I mean,
Botox
that's a
is
red flag.
All right, well, I tell people, if you go out to a restaurant and you're ordering a glass of wine, when that gentleman pours you, or the waiter pours your wine, there's a good pour and there's a meek pour, right? When you are paying, choose a number, you're paying $10 for your glass of wine, and he gives you a small amount of wine in your glass, you're going to think, But if he's giving you a very generous portion, says, that's value, that's good, right? So
And you'd rather pay extra for that.
you would.
Yeah.
But the other answer is, if you're talking about Botox, for example, and it's been commoditized without question, yeah, you can go get your Botox injection. But if you really want the Botox injection to work, there has to be an appropriate dosage.
Right. And people don't realize that they'll fill it with saline. I'm sure there's a cut as far as Botox and the saline
Look,
in there.
a bottle of Botox, choose a number, has got 100 international units, okay? And of those 100 international units, it's a powder. You have to dilute it, okay? You can dilute it what the manufacturer's recommendation is for what it's going to be, or you can triple it. So that means you can get 3 times as many syringes in that little bottle.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And 1/3 the dosing of what you're going to do.
Well, that's why some of these women, they think that this is a great deal. I got
Sure.
a coupon. I'm going to go to this person. But obviously, there's a reason why they're offering it to you for such a less amount.
It's like we said at the very, very beginning of this show, when don't you get what you pay for? Okay, you do. You get what you pay for.
Exactly.
And-
I agree. I agree.
You know?
Okay, let me just ask you. I just looking at the time because the time went so fast. We've been talking about this for an hour. It just went so quickly. But I want to get one more question from a listener. It says, "I always thought only rich people and celebrities get things done. How do regular people afford good plastic surgeons?" And you know something, we're going to have to answer this very quickly because we only have 2 more minutes. I didn't even realize 2 more minutes left of the show. So I want to give out your contact information as well. But typically, you do see most people that are affluent.
Actually, well, if you're 25 years old and you want a breast augmentation, you think you're that affluent that you can,
Financing, right?
So there's
financing.
different ways of doing it, and different people have different means. And cosmetic surgery or plastic surgery is much more affordable today than it was 10 years ago. So what
And
used
there's
to be
different financing
yeah,
options
there's always
as well.
a financing option, which is there. But truly, the cost of doing what we do today is certainly less expensive than it was 30 years ago.
Right.
So it's definitely more available for people that are not living the lifestyle of the rich, or want to live the lifestyle of rich and famous, but they're not making choosing
The big bucks.
the big $25 million a year to do
Right.
it there. But things like that.
It's
And
a whole
everybody-
different ballgame
Sure.
nowadays.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, give out your contact information because we're going to be going off the air in a minute. The hour went so quickly. It's
Thanks.
unbelievable.
Well, thank you, all you listeners. My name is Jonathan Berman. My address is 670 Glades Road, Boca Raton, Florida. Our phone number is 561-71-RADIO. Please contact me if you have any questions at drb@drberman.com, and Berman spelled Berman. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show. Tune in while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its host